morning. Vande Matram, welcome all of you. So this morning we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, that is on basis of yoga, yoga dhara. So this is the part 1 of the yoga dhara, means basis of yoga. So this topic it is of course very reliable topic. The things must be known. Few things are there which are considered as the basis for the yoga. So yoga is whole the way in one term we can say yoga dhara. So basis yoga adhara, basis of the yoga. So yoga's adhara, base, that must be discussed, and it is of course a little bit lengthy topic. So a couple of things are very much included and must be discussed in a brief, of course. And without knowing all these things, it will be difficult for somebody to go straight into the sadhana or methods of sadhana or path of the sadhana. So these are the topics. It is very interestingly we are going to take from both Mother and Sri Aurobindo and Yoga Dhara. So basis of yoga. So already I have discussed number of things are being contained in this topic. In this specifically, these are the considering the paths. The contents are of course more in number. So we'll discuss everything in brief, one by one, both from Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Initially, we are going to discuss the aspiration of Ipsa. So aspiration, it plays an important role while pursuing this integral yogic process, because you must have an aspiration, ardent aspiration within you. That is the great thing, and that has to be discussed in very initially, and at the very much at the preface. So, here we know when there is a point of discussion on aspiration, instantly comes the topic that is actually truly known to be the desire. So the desire is the major thing, and we know from the Buddhist period, we know the desire is the sole cause of suffering. When this desire is getting perished, it is destroyed, then there is the end of the sorrow and suffering. These are things we know, we are well acquainted with these terms. Now itself it is going for another term, that is aspiration for the divine. Aspiration, only for 4 things we aspire. Bearing these 4 things, whatever we aspire or we yearn for, that is actually coming under the banner of desire. So these are freedom, immortality, God, and the light. These are the 4 things for which we truly aspire. And bearing these 4, for what another, for anything we are aspiring for, we are heading for, these are coming under the of course desires, mother course. So the steady fire of aspiration burns in the silence of the heart. So heart must be made silent. Inside or in between the silence of the heart only there burns the steady fire of aspiration. Again, so whenever we go beyond the limitation of the words, and there we can find, and of course secondly, when we cross the mental activities of the chintan or thought, then only we find there is a very fire of the aspiration burns consistently, and of course with luminosity, and that is it must burn, and it is of course burning. It is burning in a very small and of course very dizzy manner. It is not that much actually understandable or markable, but thing is that it is there. And this psychic, we know this is a spark soul that is inside us. There is no all the way psychic and soul are the same thing, that we know. Only during the development only soul gets psychic. The purpose of the soul, we know, that is a psychic fire that is burning well in between, and it is steadily. It is almost covered with the strangling vital smoke, and this vital smoke which is strangling, it must disappear, it must be eliminated. So that the psychic fire must burn in front, and it will come to the fore. That is what the requirement. Mother again course. Let the son of aspiration eliminate the darkness of the ego. So in one side there is aspiration, on the reverse side there is ego. With the aspiration there is sun or luminosity. With the ego there is also darkness and grayness. This darkness and grayness of the ego, let it get eliminated permanently with the aspiration, sun of aspiration. So let your aspiration be pure and of course very simple. Toward it must leap towards the divine consciousness, so that we can find this aspiration, this divine experience, divine consciousness. It is really anandamaya, and of course it is happy, packed with happy and pleasure. So this is the first thing we have discussed, that is aspiration. This from almost we have discussed whatever we have discussed, it is from mother. Now itself we are going for the second page, that is what Sri Aurobindo really course on the aspiration. It is in big way Sri Aurobindo course. All sincere aspiration has its effects. All sincere aspiration has its effects. Aspiration, not desire. And moreover, this aspiration, before aspiration, Sri Aurobindo puts the term adjective like sincere aspiration. Again, if you are not constant in your aspiration, if you are not constant in your aspiration, only once you aspire, then you get detached. It is a broken up, it is only a timely, or then the nature will then sink back into the old lower ways. There is no need. If it is a constant, if it is ceaseless, it has got its effect. Otherwise nature will sink back into the old lower ways. Again Sri Aurobindo precautions and of course teaches us how to aspire. Aspire intensely but without impatience. That is the mantra given by the master to us in a very interesting way. There is no needs of words in aspiration. Many times we ask whether there will be prayer, there will be some calls, there will be some reply, there will be some reaction. Many ways we keep asking how the aspiration should be and must be. But here in the course, there is no need of words in aspiration. No need of words in aspiration. It can be expressed or unexpressed of words. Again, still in the course, vitally to conclude on aspiration, I will take a super excellent message from Master, from our Master. The intensity of aspiration brings the intensity of experience. As much as you aspire, thus you will get the intensity of experience. And with the repeated intensity of experience, which is coming through the repeated intensity of your aspiration, there you can find some change within you. That is a great thing. Everything this change depends upon the experience, and experience comes from the intensity of aspiration. So again we are going to quote beautifully, that is bhakti, devotion. So we know while describing the devotion, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully. Devotion is not utterly fulfilled till it becomes action and knowledge. We know already we have got our beings like mind, life, and body. Many ways we have seen, we have experienced mind, life, and body. Thing is that sometimes we feel this bhakti is coming from the emotion, from the heart center only. And moreover, so far this integral education is concerned, it is a great step. Mother quotes beautifully. We know where the entire yoga suggests there begins the integral yoga. So it is a big term and it is a beautiful term as it is defined on ourselves. So we know devotion has a great impact, and of course it has great value in integral yoga. That also we know. So, and without really true devotion, this heart will dry up. That's what's here in the course. But it has got its own way. Emotion has got a big value in integral yoga. Even though we stress more on work and all, but actually emotion has and bhakti has got a beautiful place, and of course one clarified one big place there. But still in the course, devotion is not utterly fulfilled till it becomes action and knowledge. Action comes from the body, knowledge comes from the mind, and the devotion it comes from the heart or vital. So mind, vital, and physical, everything must be in collaboration. so that from the harmony of the mind and life and body there comes the fulfillment of the devotion. So we'll try to meet something. Sometimes we find inside the heart, inside the depth of the heart, we find this devotion is concentrated and silent. And the thing, from that, actually this work, work of service, and of course this obedience. It has been expressed from this devotion which is inside us, which is from the in-depth devotion, which is now silent and concentrated. From that only, that service and obedience actually get manifested. And these service and obedience which is emerged from the heart center, from the in-depth heart center, through silence and concentration, that is more powerful than this, of course, crowded and tearful devotion. Because we know devotion is required, but actually who is devotion packed with Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama Rama, Rama. It's like these mechanical things are there. And of course, sometimes we cry, we shout, we do something. But actually, from these cry and the shouts, these service work and the obedience is more powerful, more truthful, and more packed with divine. Again, so this sincere devotion, Mother Course, this sincere devotion is more fruitful than the Ganges water. That is a big thing, big observation by the devotion, by the master, by the mother rather. So this sincere devotion is more fruitful than the Ganges water as quoted by the mother. So we find sometimes with that nivedan, so sacrifice, and sometimes we find another word sacrifice. So this nivedan or naivedya, we give, we pray, we offer like this. So like this we know mother's beautiful quotation we have seen. Let us work, we will see, life must blossom like a flower offering itself for the divine. Life must blossom like a flower offering itself to the divine. This flower outwardly, this incense stick, this gift, this prasad, this banana, coconut, and all, everything has been defined and created by the God. And to the God we give His own creation. Then what is how and how much we are benefited. So life must blossom like a flower offering itself for the divine, so that He will be happy. Again, that what is that Naivedya really? That entire Gatibhati, entire actions of the being, even truth and falsehood, good and bad, right and wrong. So it must be offered. It must be offered that at the point of the divine, and it must be offered near the divine, so that that there will come the true change. Your all doubts, suspicions, as your apprehensions, everything must be offered near the, must be surrendered near the divine, so that you will be able to truly you will be able to receive the divine grace, and which is the fundamentally which is instrumental for the transformation. Again, there is another thing that is coming, that is on sacrifice. Many times we feel we sacrifice, but thing is the other course. Some what you are, what you think of, what you opt to do, what you have and what you are, everything must be sacrificed near the divine. That is, that will make you a true servant and a true eternal child, and of course the instrument of the divine. So we'll read few lines on sacrifice from the divine. That is a great writing from Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo has written on sacrifice. That's what we will try to quote few lines from Sri Aurobindo. The law of sacrifice, beautifully. The law of sacrifice is the common divine action that is thrown out into the world. Law of sacrifice is the common divine action that is thrown out into the world it is in its beginning as a symbol of the solidarity of the universe. For the solidarity of the universe, as the law of sacrifice, the common divine action is thrown into the world, so that the seed of Godhead lurks in the human breast. As there is a seed, it is invisibly concealed under the layers of the earth. So when the things get acclimatized, it actually burns and emerges from that tree. So from the fruit, so we get the sprouting and of course emerging tree. Sacrifice is a great revealer of values. Here in the course, sacrifice is a great revealer of values. Our very inspiration and respiration, our very inspiration and respiration, our very heartbeats can and must be made conscious in us as the living rhythm of the universal sacrifice. That consciousness will be there. Our very inspiration and respiration, our very heartbeats can and must be made conscious in us as the living rhythm of the universal sacrifice. Again, sacrifice is imposed and where need be compelled by the universal world force. Again, all must be done for the divine, not no sacrifice towards the human god or self-declared god like this. All must be done for the divine. All must be directed to the divine. That is the only mantra that we must take care. All activities must have the one divine for their object and the heart of their meaning. That activities, that sacrifice must be there. Sometimes we feel we have sacrificed, we have divine sacrifice. Radha's prayer, we feel everything we have offered like this. These are also false dogmas and false views here in the course. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice always. Three times here in the course. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice always. But for the self of the God and humanity, not for the sake of sacrifice. You have to sacrifice, that does not matter, that you have to simply sacrifice. But your sacrifice, let it be for the sake of the God and humanity. That's what Sri Aurobindo, for God and humanity, that sacrifice must be, as Sri Aurobindo uttered, written three times. Sacrifice, sacrifice, and sacrifice always. So again, let thy steps walk in thy Lord, let thy sleep and waking be a sacrifice to Krishna. Just imagine, let thy sleep and let thy steps walk in thy Lord, let thy sleep and waking both sleep be a sacrifice to Krishna. Limit not sacrifice to the giving of the earthly goods or to the denial of some desires and yearnings, but let every thought and every work and every energy, every thought, every work, every energy must be an offering to God within thee. God within thee. You must not have to go to the external temple. You have to search. You have to offer like this. The temple is the body is the chrysalis of the soul, and the divine is there inside. You go and sacrifice. So long as we work in the attachment of the result, attachment of the to the result, as long as we are working with that, the sacrifice is offered not to the divine but to the ego. That must be understood, kept in mind. So this sacrifice we know, or sometimes we feel donate blood in the blood bank, not on the roads. Like this sacrifice for the sake of the divine and the humanity, not for the sake of the sacrifice. That is a great topic. Of course, finally we will go and we will see many things later on. So part of this sacrifice, usually whatever we have started, yoga dhara, basis of yoga, we want to conclude here. The second part will go later. Thank you, Bande Mataram.